I pulled into the parking lot at 11:23 a.m. on a Sunday, running on coffee and stubbornness. My back hurt, my hands were sore, and my brain was a microwave that someone forgot to stop. I wanted a shower, a nap, and maybe whatever leftover noodles were pretending to be dinner in our fridge. Instead, I had brunch with my wife and her friends, because Emily had texted me 3 times, 8 a.m. Brunch at 11:30, don't forget. I went home, showered fast, dragged on clean jeans and a shirt that didn't smell like the last 12 hours, and drove from the valley into West Hollywood. I found parking 4 blocks away because of course I did. The walk gave me time to rehearse my role. The husband who tries. Not the successful one, not the photogenic one, the one who shows up. I could hear the laughter from half a block out, high-pitched like seagulls who found a family-sized bag of chips. The patio was packed, mimosas everywhere. People taking photos of their food like breakfast was breaking news. Emily was in a corner with 4 friends I vaguely recognized. The Sunglasses crew, the We Do PR, marketing and vibes team. She didn't stand up when she saw me. No smile, no wave. Just a little 2-finger gesture at the empty chair on the end, like she was assigning me a seatbelt in coach. "Hey," I said, sitting. "Hey," she said, already mid-sentence about a girl's trip to Palm Springs. "Spa or house rental?" "House rental gives us a pool," one friend said. "And a cabana." "Pool cabana," another said like she'd invented the concept of shade. The server showed up. "Coffee," I said. "Black." No one asked how my morning was. No one asked why I looked like the forklift had driven me. That was fine. I'm not a plant. I don't need sunlight and attention to survive. Mallory, short hair, expensive color, looked at me like a school principal forced to learn a new student's name. "How's work, James?" "Busy," I said. Emily cut in. "He's always working," she said to the table, not to me. I basically lived like a single woman. Laughter. Big laughter. Heads tilted back like they'd been paid. "Girl, I wouldn't put up with that," the one with the gold necklace said. "Seriously," another added, "life's too short." "Yep," I said to my coffee, "life's short." So's this cup food arrived. Plates of avocado, bread that had a resume, eggs that cost more than my shoes. I didn't order. I wasn't hungry. I was trying to be invisible and failing because Emily was now on her 3rd mimosa and fully in performance mode. She leaned back, glass in hand, and said louder than necessary, "Honestly, I give this marriage 3 more months." It hit the table like a dropped tray. Then the laughter came even bigger. Performances all around. We were doing a comedy, apparently, and I'd missed the rehearsal. I set my cup down. My hands were steady, which was a new experience for my hands. "You're generous," I said, calm. "I give it 3 minutes." Silence. A vacuum. The kind that sucks the air out of the patio. Even the eggs listened. I pulled off my ring. It slid easy. Stress diet. Highly effective. Not recommended. I put the ring down in the center of the table. It made a small metallic click, like a seatbelt unbuckling. Emily blinked. Twice. Color left her face, then slammed back in, blotchy red. "Babe, I was joking." "Enjoy your brunch," I said. I stood up. The chair scraped, and our whole corner winced like I'd cursed in church. I walked out past couples photographing their food and men in hats that only work in West Hollywood. I didn't look back. I didn't do dramatic. I did exit. Outside, the sun punched me in the eyes. I put on sunglasses and started walking to my truck. Halfway down the block, I heard the door from the restaurant, heard my name, louder this time, more desperate. I kept walking. I'm not a dog. I don't come when you whistle after the joke bombs. I sat in the truck and shook for a minute. Breathing in, out, counting to 4 like that workshop had taught us. The one with the free muffins that tasted like pencil shavings. My phone lit up like a slot machine. Messages stacked. "Where did you go? Come back right now. This is ridiculous. You're embarrassing me. Please, can we talk? Answer me, please. I typed one line. Nothing left to talk about? Sent it. It felt like setting down a heavy box I didn't know I was carrying. She called immediately. I stared at the name on my screen. I picked up. Where are you? Her voice was wet and shaky. Traffic behind her. People chatter. The brunch circus. That's not my problem anymore, I said. You're throwing away our marriage over a joke? You threw it away. I just noticed. Where are you? She repeated, like that was the magic spell. Doesn't matter, I said, and hung up. Then I blocked her number. That confirmation box popped up like a tiny therapist. Yes. Confirm goodbye. I drove to a Target parking lot 2 miles away and sat there until my heart stopped trying to bench press my ribs. Then I called Ben. You busy? I asked. It's Sunday, he said. Football and laundry. What's up? I need a couch. My couch has been waiting to be needed, he said. Doors open. Ben doesn't do big speeches. He does pizza and silence and occasional smart sentences that sound like they fell out of a good book. I drove to his place in Sweatpants City. 1 bedroom, old couch, TV already tuned to men in helmets colliding like well-paid rhinos. He opened the door, took one look, stepped aside. Beers in the fridge. We watched half a quarter without talking. The sound of the game filled in the spaces that would have been apologies. Finally, he muted it. You look like you wrestled a garbage truck, he said. I kind of did, I said. At brunch, he frowned. They serve those now? I gave him the short version. The line. The ring. The walk. She said that out loud? He asked. With witnesses? Like a TED Talk, I said. He nodded slowly, jaw tight. Then you did the right thing. I wasn't sure about right thing. It felt like ripping duct tape off a hairy arm. Right, maybe. Pleasant number. We watched the game, ordered pizza, ate in silence. He didn't ask for details about Emily. He didn't say you should. He didn't say you must. He just let the air clear. At 11 p.m., I made the mistake of turning my phone back on. New numbers had found me. Friends of hers, I guessed. Messages from unknowns with the energy of customer service bots. She didn't mean it. You're overreacting. Everyone vents. Relax. Be reasonable. I turned the phone off again. The couch smelled like old victories and spilled beer. I slept like someone had unplugged me. Morning. Light through cheap blinds. Ben poured coffee like he owned a diner. Plan? He asked. Grab my documents, I said. Passport, insurance, tax stuff. A few clothes, I hesitated. I'll be quick. In and out. You want company? I'll be fine, I said. No speeches. Good, Ben said. I don't have any. I showered, borrowed a t-shirt. He handed me a spare house key like a coach giving a player a helmet. If you need to turn around, do it, he said. Pride is expensive. Coffee's cheaper, I said, picking up the travel mug. And better at being hot, he said. I left, still tasting his terrible coffee and his good advice. I drove back to the house. Our house. The one with photos in the hall of people who looked like us, but less tired. The door clicked like always. The quiet was loud, only the fridge humming, the soft tick of a wall clock that was always 3 minutes wrong. I didn't come to snoop. I came to collect papers. That's what I told myself, and it was mostly true. I opened the drawer in the study where we kept receipts and warranties and life in file folders. Passport, insurance card, birth certificate, the boring trophies of adulthood. Then I saw it, a new folder, neat, labeled in her careful handwriting, legal/personal. I told myself to close the drawer. I told myself this was none of my business. Then I told myself the obvious. It was my business, literally. I opened it. Inside were printed emails, bullet lists, a spreadsheet. The emails were to a lawyer. The bullets were titled Separation Strategy. The spreadsheet had 2 columns, his/mine. There was a note in the margin in pen, her handwriting. Wait until he leaves first, cleaner for court. Beneath it, keep distance. Show emotional fatigue, no intimacy. Document I read that line 3 times. The words didn't change, they just got heavier. Another page, a draft statement, not a letter, more like a script. James is emotionally distant, controlling with finances, often absent due to work. I laughed. It sounded like a checklist you fill out at the doctor's office. Please circle all that apply. Cough, fever, controlling with finances. I set the papers down. My hands weren't shaking. It wasn't rage. It was something flatter, like finding out the movie you were watching was actually a rehearsal and everyone else had the script. The front door opened. Footsteps, keys hit the bowl. Emily's voice, sharp from the hallway. James? I didn't answer right away. I stood. I didn't hide the folder. I left it open on the desk like a museum exhibit. She walked in and froze. Eyes on the folder, then on me. What are you doing? Collecting documents, I said. Apparently, that's a theme. You're going through my private things? Your label says legal/personal. You might have added marriage. It's all 3. She moved closer, hands on hips, chin lifted. A stance she used on waiters and telemarketers. You had no right. You planned our divorce like a vacation, I said. Flights, hotel, outfits. 3 months out. Her mouth opened, closed. It's not like that. It is exactly like that, I said, tapping the margin note. Wait until he leaves first, cleaner for court. That was the joke, right? Get me to walk, make me the bad guy. Then collect sympathy points like coupons. I talked to a lawyer once, she said, voice pitching higher. I was upset. I needed information. You printed a spreadsheet, I said. You made columns. That's not a crime. No, I said, but it is a plan. She tried a softer tone. James, I was scared. You're gone all the time. You don't tell me what you feel. I felt alone. I was working, I said. I was paying the mortgage and 70% of everything else. That's not romance, but it's effort. You could have said, hey, I'm scared. Instead you said, I give it 3 months, in public. That was a joke, she said, almost a hiss. You humiliated me by leaving. You rehearsed humiliating me for months, I said. You just didn't plan for me to read the script. We stared at each other. The fridge hummed harder, like it was nervous too. I can fix this, she said. We can talk. We can go to counseling. You wrote no intimacy? Document? I pointed at it. Was that the counseling plan? She flushed. Don't twist this. I'm not twisting anything, I said. I'm reading. Put those down, she said, stepping forward. No, I said, and my voice surprised me. Steady, flat. I'm taking photos. Then I'm taking my papers. Then I'm leaving. You're not leaving, she said. We're talking. You gave this marriage 3 months, I said. I gave it 3 minutes. We're at minute 4. Her face broke, anger, fear, calculation flickering like a bad connection. James, please. You're overreacting. Maybe, I said, but I'm reacting to the right thing. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. Don't, I said. Not to stop me. Not to make me stay. That time is done. You're making a mistake, she said. I held up the page with the bullet points. I made a lot of them. I'm correcting one. I set the page down, took pictures of the rest. I put my passport and documents into my backpack, zipped it. The zip sounded final. At the doorway, I paused. You wanted me to leave first, I said. Congratulations. You got your wish. Just not the story you wrote. I walked out. The door clicked behind me. No dramatic slam, just a click. The sound of a lock closing and a chapter ending. I sat in my truck. I breathed. I texted Ben. Running late. Had to read a book called My Marriage, the Exit Plan. Spoiler, I die in chapter 1. He sent back a thumbs up and a skull emoji. Ben doesn't waste words when emojis can do murder. I opened my notes app, scrolled through the photos of the bullet lists and the spreadsheet, then dialed the number I found at the top of one email. Ms. Carter, attorney at law. A calm voice answered and asked if I could come in this afternoon. I said yes. I didn't ask about fees. I didn't ask about how long this would take. I only asked for directions and parking. 3 months, I said to myself, starting the engine. 3 minutes. Better math. I drove toward a building with frosted glass doors and diplomas on the walls. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't tired. I was awake. Miss Carter's office looked like it smelled of expensive pens. The waiting room had the energy of quiet divorces and well-pressed shirts. No sad magazines, just law books pretending to be art. The receptionist smiled the way people do when they see your ring finger is suddenly lighter. Mr. She checked the clipboard. James? Just James, I said. The Mr. fell off this morning. She smiled like she'd heard that one before. Miss Carter will see you shortly. Ms. Carter appeared exactly as I'd imagined her. Mid-40s, navy suit, sharp eyes, and the kind of calm that could talk a bear into paying alimony. Mr. James, she said, shaking my hand. Firm grip, no sympathy, just competence. I liked her immediately. We sat. She flipped open a legal pad. You said on the phone your wife has been preparing legal material? Yeah, I said, handing her my phone. She built a whole PowerPoint about it. Ms. Carter raised an eyebrow as she scrolled through the photos. Bullet points, spreadsheets, handwritten notes. Well, she said, she's thorough. Yeah, she's always been organized. Just didn't realize I was the project that earned the smallest smirk. Ms. Carter leaned back. You've done the right thing by documenting this. Premeditation matters. It changes the narrative from impulsive separation to manipulated abandonment. Sounds like a crime show, I said. In a way, it is. But the jury's a judge in a robe instead of 12 people watching Netflix. She outlined the plan. File first, freeze joint accounts, reroute paychecks, and communicate through her office only. No direct contact, she said firmly. If she texts, emails, or shows up, do not engage. Let me handle it. Got it, I said. I'm officially under new management. Good, she said, jotting notes. Now, about assets, house, car, savings. I paid most of the mortgage, I said. Truck's mine. Savings split, technically, but I opened a new account. Smart. Keep all receipts of payments and transfers. Anything else? Yes. Pack your things with a witness present, a friend, or better, a police escort. It prevents accusations, sounds dramatic. Divorce is theater, Ms. Carter said. We just want to control the script. I grinned. Emily's gonna hate that. She's already written her version. Let's make sure the ending's different. 2 days later, I pulled up to the house again. Ben rode shotgun, holding a to-go coffee and the moral support of a golden retriever in human form. You sure about this? He asked. Yeah. Ms. Carter set it up with local PD. Officer Reed's meeting us there. Officer Reed, Ben said. That's either a superhero or a guy who hates paperwork. Hopefully the first. We parked in front of the house. Emily's car was in the driveway. My stomach did that tight spin again, but I wasn't scared anymore. Just done. A police cruiser pulled up behind us. Out stepped Officer Reed, mid-30s, calm eyes, posture that said, I've seen worse. Mr. James? He asked. Yeah. I'm here to ensure a peaceful property retrieval. You have a list? Yep, I said, holding my phone. Documents, clothes, tools, one guitar. All right, he said. Let's keep it civil. Ben snorted. He's allergic to drama. Perfect, Officer Reed said. We walked to the door. Emily opened it before I could knock. She looked different, hair messy, eyes red, wearing a sweatshirt that said, Be kind in a font that wasn't helping her case. James, please, she said, voice breaking before the sentence ended. Ma'am, Officer Reed said politely, he's here to collect his belongings. Let's keep this calm. She blinked at the uniform, then stepped aside. Fine. Whatever Ben followed me in. The air smelled like candle and regret. The house felt smaller, like the walls had joined her side. I started collecting things, folder of documents, laptop, clothes from the bedroom. Emily hovered nearby like a ghost who still paid utilities. "You don't have to do this," she said softly. "Apparently, I do," I said, folding shirts into a duffel. I was angry. I said stupid things. We both did. "I didn't plan mine 3 months in advance," I said. She winced. "You don't understand." "I read your notes, Emily. You were waiting for me to walk so you could play the victim. Congrats. You almost pulled it off." Tears filled her eyes. "You're twisting it." "No," I said, looking straight at her. "You twisted it. I just untangled it." Ben pretended to be busy unplugging a lamp. Emily stepped closer. "We could start over. No lawyers, no drama. Just talk." "Emily," I said quietly, "you don't want to start over. You want to rewind to the part where you still looked like the good one." Her face hardened. "You think you're innocent? You worked all the time. You ignored me." "Yeah," I said, "so you could eat avocado toast with your friends and talk about my expiration date?" "That was a joke," she shouted. "Then this is the punchline?" Silence. Even the officer looked uncomfortable. I zipped my bag. "That's everything. You're walking away from years of marriage," she said, voice trembling. "No," I said. "I'm walking away from months of performance." She followed me to the door. "You'll regret this." "Doubt it," I said. "Regret's expensive and I've already paid enough." Officer Reed opened the door. "We're done here," he said. Emily stood in the doorway, crying quietly. "I didn't mean any of it," she whispered. "Then you showed me exactly who you are," I said, stepping outside. Ben loaded the bag into my truck. "That was rough," he said. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "I thought it'd hurt more." He nodded. "Sometimes the pain's just delayed shipping." "Guess I paid for express." We drove off. In the mirror, the house looked like a bad memory in high definition. That night at Ben's place, we sat on the balcony with 2 beers and the kind of silence that feels earned. "She really said you'd regret it?" he asked finally. "Yeah." "You think you will?" "No," I said. "I think I regret not leaving sooner." He nodded, clinked his bottle against mine. "That's progress." We drank. Down below, someone's dog barked like it was narrating my thoughts. Ben leaned back. "What's next?" "Work. Paperwork. Miss Carter said the process will take 4 to 6 months. Plenty of time for bad pizza and good advice." "I'll take both," I said. We sat there, 2 guys, 1 broken marriage, and the faint sound of Monday trying to start early. I thought about Emily's face when she saw the folder, about the way she said, "We could fix this." You can't fix something that was built on a countdown. Ben broke the silence again. "Hey," he said, "at least you got the truck." "Yeah," I said, smiling, "and my sanity. That one's not for sale." He raised his beer. "To sanity." "To quieter mornings," I said. We drank to that. Weeks passed in the kind of blur that feels almost peaceful. Work, sleep, gym, repeat. Ms. Carter sent updates by email. Each one colder, cleaner, legally precise. Emily tried reaching out once more. An unknown number. Short message. "I'm sorry. Please, can we talk?" I didn't reply. Ms. Carter handled it with a cease and desist that could have frozen lava. When she called to tell me, she sounded pleased. "That's progress," she said. "You lawyers really love that word." "It's a slow sport," she said. "But you're winning." I laughed. "Feels weird to win something that costs this much." "Sometimes peace is the prize," she said. And maybe she was right. Ben joked one night that I should write a book, How to Leave Like a Gentleman. I told him the sequel would be How to Block Like a Pro. He said, "You could turn that into a TED Talk." "I already did," I said. Emily hosted it. He nearly choked on his beer. A month later, Miss Carter called with the big update. She's trying to claim financial abandonment. But your evidence shows consistent payments and her premeditated planning. The judge won't like that. Good, I said. Neither did I. You'll likely keep your truck, savings, and freedom, she said. Freedom's the only one I'll brag about. Then congratulations, she said. You're almost officially single. I hung up, looked around Ben's apartment, the couch, the half-broken lamp, the pizza box graveyard, and realized I felt lighter. Not happy yet, but lighter. Ben walked in from the kitchen. Good news? Yeah, Ms. Carter says I'm winning. He grinned. You're undefeated, man. Record: 1 divorce, 0 regrets. I laughed. That's the tagline right there. He pointed a slice of pizza at me. You know what comes next? Therapy? Dating, I groaned. Ben, I just survived emotional bankruptcy. Yeah, he said, and now your credit's good again. 2 months later, I moved into a small studio. Cheap, clean, mine. I hung one photo, me, Ben, and the truck. That was enough decor. The next chapter didn't start with fireworks. It started at Trader Joe's. A woman bumped into my cart near the fruit section. She smiled, apologized. Her name was Ivy. She had kind eyes, simple clothes, no performance. We talked for 5 minutes about avocados and bad coffee brands. She laughed easily. No filters, no hidden agendas. When she asked if I wanted to grab coffee sometime, I said, as long as there's no brunch involved. She grinned. Deal. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a punchline. That night, Ben texted, new chapter already? I replied, maybe. Or maybe just good timing. He sent back, timing's everything. 3 months? No, I wrote. 3 minutes was enough. Ivy texted the next morning. Coffee still on? I replied, already at the cafe? I even brushed my hair. This is serious. I got there 10 minutes early because apparently that's my love language, showing up before caffeine. The place was small, quiet, smelled like sanity and burnt beans. I grabbed a corner table. When she walked in, she looked like peace disguised as a person. No performance, no statement outfit, just jeans and a light smile. She spotted me, waved, and sat down across the table like she'd done it 100 times. You're early, she said. I'm a punctual overthinker, I said. She laughed. That's the best kind of honest. We ordered. She went for something with oat milk and optimism. I got plain black coffee because my taste buds retired years ago. The cafe was half full. Couples pretending to read books, influencers pretending to think deep thoughts. So, she said, stirring her drink, what's your deal? My deal? Yeah, everyone's got one. You look like a guy who's been through a plot twist. That obvious? She tilted her head. A little. So I told her, not the Reddit version, not the courtroom version, just the short one. Brunch, 3 months, 3 minutes, the folder, the lawyer. When I finished, she didn't say, oh my God, or that's terrible. She said, sounds like you finally stopped auditioning for a part you didn't want. I laughed. You're too wise for a first coffee. Occupational hazard, she said. Graphic designer. We spend all day fixing other people's mistakes. We talked about work, music, and the philosophy of burnt toast. She made everything sound easy, even silence. When we left, she said, dinner next time? As long as it doesn't involve mimosas, I said. Promise. A few days later, Miss Carter called. Her tone was calm, which meant something had gone in my favor. Judge reviewed both filings, she said. Emily's notes helped more than you think. You're keeping your truck, your savings, and your sanity. She keeps the house and the mortgage. Beautiful, I said. I'll send flowers to whoever invented fairness. You're welcome, she said dryly. Miss Carter, do you ever smile? Only when my clients stop talking to their exes. Dinner with Ivy was at a small Italian place that didn't pretend to be authentic. No neon signs, no pretentious menu descriptions, just pasta, music, and a waiter who called everyone boss. You look less tense, she said. Maybe I'm out of drama for the year. She smiled. I'm still trying to believe you really walked out mid-brunch. It was either that or throw the mimosa. I took the high road. She laughed so hard she snorted. That sound, unfiltered real, hit me harder than any I love you I'd heard in years. We ate, joked, talked about childhoods that had different kinds of chaos. She had the kind that made her funny, I had the kind that made me fix things for a living. When I walked her to her car, she said, "You seem like the kind of guy who doesn't know he's kind. And you seem like the kind of girl who thinks coffee is therapy." "It is," she said. "You just had bad baristas before." Ben, of course, demanded a full report. We were eating leftover pizza straight from the box, the man's version of fine dining. "So," he said, "the new girl, Ivy, right?" "Yeah? She normal?" "Terrifyingly." He grinned. "So no hidden lawyer folders yet?" "Not that I've seen." "Good. You deserve boring peace." "I don't think it's boring," I said. "It's just honest." He nodded. "Careful, man." That sounds like happiness sneaking in. Weeks turned into something steady. Work, sleep, dinner with Ivy, weekend beers with Ben. The chaos had finally stopped echoing. Then one morning Miss Carter called again. "It's official," she said. "Divorce finalized." "Just like that?" She chuckled. "Nothing in law is just like that." But yes. Papers signed, judge stamped, case closed. I leaned back in my chair. "That's it, huh?" No applause. "I can clap quietly if you want." "Save it for the next broken soul," I said. "Congratulations, James." "Thanks, I owe you. You already paid me," she said, and hung up. I sat for a while, staring at the wall. No tears, no fireworks, just a calm, solid quiet. Like the world had stopped humming out of tune. That evening, Ivy texted, "How do free men celebrate?" "By getting takeout and not testifying," I wrote. She replied, "Wild, I'll bring dessert." She showed up with brownies and a bottle of cheap wine. "To new beginnings," she said, raising her glass. "To quiet endings," I said. We drank. The wine tasted like regret, but in a good way. "I like this," she said after a while. "You don't fill silence with nonsense." "I tried that before," I said. "Didn't work. Turns out silence is underrated." She smiled. "Then we're both weird." Perfect. A few months later, Ben and I took a weekend trip to a quiet lake. We fished badly, grilled worse, and laughed like kids skipping class. At sunset, he said, "You look different, man." "How so?" "You look like someone who belongs in his own life." "That's new," I said. "Keep it that way." When I got back, Ivy was waiting with pizza and that grin that made time feel slower. "How was the lake?" "Peaceful," I said. "Didn't catch much, but I came back with less nonsense." She laughed. "You're collecting peace like some people collect sneakers." "I'm old," I said. "I like practical collections. Sometimes I still think about that brunch. Not with anger, just as a reference point." 3 months, she said. 3 minutes, I replied. That was the first honest conversation we'd had in years. Now life's smaller, quieter, but finally mine. I've got a steady job, a loyal friend, and a woman who doesn't need to be convinced to stay. No folders labeled legal/personal, just receipts for groceries and bad takeout. You can't build a future with someone who's planning your exit, but you can build one with someone who plans dinner and means it. That's what I did. One quiet choice, one honest day at a time. If you felt this story hit hard, drop a like, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps Steelheart beating.